Encounters with absolute, unadulterated truth are rarely gentle. When a human mind receives raw, unfiltered reality, it is hit with a massive, high-pressure data stream. The truth has immense density and weight. If the mind isn't calibrated to handle that weight, it experiences a condition the Quran calls haraj. Haraj is a state of severe cognitive friction, the mathematical equivalent of psychological suffocation. This suffocation happens when our cognitive processing center, referred to systemically in the text as the chest or sod, resists the intense atmospheric pressure of the incoming signal. The system locks up. To prevent the human node from collapsing under this overwhelming influx of data, the Quran provides a specific architectural safeguard. It stress tests the receiver before the main transmission begins. This safeguard is the alphabetical preamble: Alif, Lam, Mim, Sod. These 4 letters act as precise metadata, engineered to calibrate the human node so it can safely process the data stream. This sequence serves as a functional diagnostic. It is an essential stress test that ensures the human interface won't suffer a catastrophic operational collapse when connecting to the divine system. To understand how this diagnostic works, we have to look at the first 3 letters of the sequence. They build the foundational hardware and software link between the divine system and our physical reality. This animated diagram maps the exact flow of the transmission. We start at the top point of origin with Alif. Alif represents the principle of the first. It is the pure systemic intent, the base hardware of existence, and the starting point of the entire logical chain. Then comes Lam. Lam is the principle of transmission. It serves as the unbroken channel, bridging the source directly to the human domain. The third letter is Mim. Mim is the principle of manifestation. This is the specific point where the transmitted signal materializes into clear physical code within the human intellect. Finally, we get the critical addition of the 4th letter, Sod. The inclusion of Sod categorizes this entire module as a strict protocol for structural integrity. Sod represents validation. It ensures that the human processor has the internal resilience to handle the manifested truth without buckling into cognitive dissonance. Together, these 4 principles form an unbroken, verifiable equation. A source transmits a manifestation, and that manifestation strictly requires internal validation for the human system to survive it. We can see exactly what happens when that validation is missing by looking at the origin of the human system. The historical account of Adam operates as an instructional simulation of a prototype node. This prototype was granted a cognitive processor and a conceptual vocabulary. But almost immediately, it was subjected to an opposing force: systemic noise. The antagonist in this simulation, the distorter, did not launch a physical attack. Instead, it injected whispering noise directly into the prototype's cognitive center. The core objective of this noise was to bypass the validation protocol entirely. It was designed to make the node hyper-aware of its sawat. In this context, sawat refers to inherent systemic vulnerabilities and limitations. The distorter targeted these cognitive limitations to trigger a desperate, panicked survival drive within the prototype. Overwhelmed by the sudden awareness of its own fallibility, the node tried to compensate. It sought artificial power and permanent lineage, causing it to lose its elevated equilibrium. The Adam simulation serves as concrete proof. Without the active force field and validation, without the shod, external noise will inevitably crash the human processor. There is a defense against this kind of cognitive suffocation. It requires ascending to an analytical vantage point known as Al-Araf, or the heights. The individuals who reach these heights are advanced observers. They have processed the Alif Lam Mim Sod signal flawlessly, allowing their minds to operate completely free from cultural bias. Getting to that elevated state requires a strict methodology. You have to actively reject unverified traditions and the comfort of blind following. By relying solely on the validated transmission, the Lam, the human aperture doesn't constrict under pressure. Instead, it structurally expands to accommodate the data. This brings us to the final, functional purpose of the entire system, the measurable law of was. Was translates directly to weight, or objective measure. Truth is not a weightless abstraction. When it is correctly integrated into a human node, It produces real, objective, and measurable moral mass. This accumulated structural mass connects directly to the ultimate cosmic architecture. It is exactly what will be measured on the final scales of justice. The Alif, Lam, Mim, Sod protocol provides the definitive operating manual. It shows exactly how to take a fragile, constricted mind and transform it into an unbreakable processor, fully capable of bearing the staggering weight of the universe.